Welcome to Web Certain TV. Today I'm joined by Rumyana Miteva from HouseTrip. Hi, Rumyana.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us today. I know you attended ISS yesterday and you delivered a successful presentation about geo-targeting. So today we would like to know a bit more about the insights you have about geo-targeting on search.
Of course, yep, I would like to give you that.
So what are the basics for geo-targeting on search? Could you give us some tips on what we need to do, like the most basic setups for the geo-targeting on search?
In the world there are 196 countries, so that would be kind of the key level of separation between countries across the globe. But you can go more granular. You can target by postcode or regions within that country, even cities. So you can be really targeted with your strategy if you wanted to go really after the users that matter to your business. So it's very important to understand who is your user, what type of customers you're after, and whether you have physical stores or presence. Obviously, if you're a business international, then you can probably deliver in every single country. Then you go for a global strategy where you target all of the possibilities. But there might be countries that there's some restrictions, or you don't have a store, so you can't actually provide the services, and that's when you can use exclusions within AdWords. So you can potentially exclude regions or countries that you don't want to target, and that's very important because you're spending money on paid search, and you have the control to actually choose the countries that you want to be spending money in and investing.
So, like, say, in terms of the campaigns, like when you set up geo-targeting, do you separate them like different campaigns to target a different country or different region? Like, say, you mentioned about postcode. Would you set up like different campaigns for certain postcode, or is there any feature that would allow you to target like different areas by certain setting on AdWords?
Yes, you can go very granular. That will require to create lots of campaigns if you imagine the number of postcodes that we have in a city such as London. So it will depend really on your strategy. If your business is based in London and you have particular services that are only available in different boroughs, then obviously you can create those separate campaigns. So you can manage your budgets better. Also, your keywords will be relevant to the area that the user is living in. So we're talking about physical locations, which are recognized by the IP address of the user and the information that the web browsers obviously can collect from the user perspective. Also on our mobile devices, you share your location. That's part of your settings that Google often just requests you to share, so they'll know where you physically are located, and then you can target these users at the right moment, in the right place for them. So one strategy will be to really go granular if that's what your business is about, if you have physical stores in different boroughs. But if you just want to ship to London as a city, you probably can have one generic campaign that targets the whole 9 million people that are living in that city. So you don't necessarily have to break it down by postcode unless you have really specific services that differentiate, and therefore you need different keywords. Obviously, when you go very granular, that makes as well life harder in terms of optimizing and managing multiple campaigns. So probably as a best practice, if you could keep them not more generic, but aggregated into origins, or even combining different countries within Europe. Let's say you can have all countries within Europe in one campaign as your targeting settings, and then it's easier to manage with the bid modifiers, which is part of the advanced settings that you have.
Okay, so that's interesting. So I could say, like, for instance, I would like to target London for one campaign, but there is one certain region as where we are now. I say Liverpool Street Station. I noticed that I have more customers around this region, so I could potentially use the function you mentioned of the bid modifier on AdWords to make it possible to bid differently.
You can be more aggressive to catch the users that are in this certain location, so you can increase your bids up to 900%.
900%.
So the range of bid modifiers, it's either decreasing by -90. If you go with -100, that means that you literally don't want to be targeting. It's similar to just excluding that whole location. But if you wanted to be aggressive, you can increase your bids. And if it makes sense to have specific keywords and ad copies that are different for the people around Liverpool Street, then I would recommend taking that geolocation separately in a new campaign and negativing it on the London campaign. So in that case, you don't have an overlap and clash between the campaigns. So one will be for Liverpool Street and the rest will be everything else in London. So that's how you can probably segment your campaigns.
Yeah. Is there any function on AdWords you really would recommend to our audiences to use? Like, say, for instance, maybe some extensions, some certain add-ons. Do you have like any suggestions for us?
Yeah, sure. So from a location perspective, obviously the location extension is key. And if you have a business physical store, then you can use the information of your business address, your opening hours, and also your telephone number to appear as part of your ad. So that makes them very relevant. You see probably click-through rates increasing because it provides the information to the user that they're looking for. They're probably searching for a place to repair their phone, for example, or some local service that if they're in the area, they can just go by and get that done. So I think it's very user relevant.
So Rumyana, once we have set up everything, as you mentioned, we do geo-targeting, we specify certain bid for certain region. How do you optimize these campaigns? I suppose, as the campaign start to grow, you would see like a different trend, different user behavior from certain area. So how do you tackle that to maintain the performance of your campaign?
Yeah, so the best way to optimize is by looking at the data. And as you said, once you launch the campaigns, you start collecting volumes, click data, impression data, and also conversion rates across regions will vary. You're very right in that. So one way of optimizing is through the bid modifiers. So you can go down to each individual geolocation and say, okay, here it's too expensive and I'm not getting the conversion, so I will decrease my bids. There is another area which probably is working really well, so I can push that and allocate more budget. If that makes sense, then you can separate that location in its own campaign to give it more prominence and a better reach, perhaps, because when they all work together under the same campaign, Google will be deciding, how to allocate your impression across different countries. So if you can see in your reporting, perhaps that one market is the leader, taking 80% of the volume, it probably makes sense to really concentrate on that area and to be even more efficient, just create a campaign for itself, so just that geo-target on its own, and everything else could remain in the previous campaign.
Okay.
Or set in another one, so you can really exclude regions that are underperforming. But I wouldn't say that this is the first instance that you should go for. First test.
Because you need to collect data to understand how it's performing.
You might not have enough impressions or clicks to really determine whether something is working or not. So give it enough time. As a first instance, decrease the bids if you're really underperforming, and really over a period of time you're struggling with that location. There might be reasons for it, so do a bit of research. Do you have maybe a very strong competitor that's already taking the impressions and the click share from you, and perhaps that's why you're not able to really get good results in a particular market. And as a final resort, just exclude it and maybe allocate your budget to the other countries that are performing better for you.
In general, to have a good geo-targeting plan or geo-targeting campaign for your project, what would you recommend? Like, say, where should we start with from the strategy point of view? I assume, we need to make sure the campaign from the beginning, it makes sense. That would reduce the amount of work you need to carry on for the optimization. So is there general strategies you think our audiences could use?
Yeah, so one area that obviously you have to consider is the market performance overall across the other channels.
Yeah.
So maybe you're not doing paid first, but you've done marketing activities such as PR or maybe even a TV campaign if you open up a new market. So you can take data from that performance and decide on which markets to include in your paid search strategy. Also look at your Google Analytics data, or if you use any third-party analytical tools that can show you where your organic traffic is coming from. That's a very strong indicator to understand, okay, I have 50% of users coming from the UK. So probably I first create the campaign for the UK market and then prioritize the other markets after that. Use the data that you already have today, and also your local marketing teams. If you have bases in different countries, speak to those and take the learnings before creating the campaigns, because that will minimize the amount of testing and obviously any wastage on your budget.
Would you do A/B testing like differently when you test the certain ad copies when it comes to geo-targeted campaigns, or is that going to be like kind of a similar to what you are doing with normal kind of campaign?
Depending again on your geo-targeting, if you've gone really granular, you can get probably very clear results in terms of what ad copy is working well in one region. If you're targeting 50 countries and then you still run an A/B test, it will be different to say which one works in which market. To do that, you then have to really separate each geo-target in a separate campaign and then create ads that are tailored for that market. And again, you can always A/B test not only your ad copy but the landing pages. So thinking about the users, and if they're coming from a foreign market, what convinces them to convert might be different from other countries. So just to give an example, Germans are very secure. They're looking for risk averse, so they really want to see trust marks on your website that it's secure to probably proceed to payment. So that would be one strategy, that perhaps for landing pages for the German traffic, you have to use those tools to kind of make them convert better, opposed to a more simplified landing pages for maybe some of the other markets where you're still translating the content, because that's also part of a geo strategy. It's about locations but languages too, so you have to combine the right geo-targeting with the right language.
It was very interesting about to learn how to do geo-targeting on search. Thank you very much for sharing with us today.